You might want to check your bank account today because something serious is happening right now, and it's not some distant policy change or vague government update you can afford to ignore. This time, it's personal, and it's already affecting people just like you, especially if you rely on your pension to get by.
If your pension helps you pay the rent, keep the heating on, afford groceries, cover transportation, or meet basic medical needs, then this is something you need to hear. As of this week, the Department for Work and Pensions has begun a quiet but far-reaching review of how pension payments are monitored. And they've now turned their attention to the very banks many pensioners use every day. We're not just talking about fraud, checks, or benefit overpayments. This goes deeper than that. The DWP has started working more closely with major banks, forming new agreements to share financial data and identify so-called discrepancies
that might not even be obvious to the person whose account is being flagged. And the alarming part? These aren't cases of fraudsters being caught out. Many of these flags are being raised against ordinary people doing ordinary things, like receiving a birthday gift from a relative or getting a refund from a holiday. These innocent transactions are now being scanned and analysed by new automated systems that are trained to look for irregularities. And if they find something they don't understand, the default action is to pause your payment while they investigate. No warning, no explanation, just silence, until the issue is resolved, which could take days or even weeks. And here's where it gets even more unsettling. The banks now under scrutiny aren't shady or new. They are long-established institutions, trusted by millions, especially older customers. The first bank to be targeted is one of the most commonly used among retirees, chosen for its reputation for reliability and simplicity.
And even meta of their writing a parting is while has wondered for the history, but the very systems that made it popular have now become the problem. Because it's such a large bank, its internal processes for updating and sharing data with government systems are reportedly slower than the DWP would like. This lag creates mismatches between your account activity and what the DWP sees, and that mismatch can lead to a review, even when you've done nothing wrong. If a review is triggered, payments may be frozen until everything is clarified. That's stress you didn't ask for and disruption you didn't deserve. Now, let's talk about the second bank. This one is actually praised for innovation. It's known for offering better savings rates and flexible account options, things like irregular deposits, pooled savings and family-linked accounts. Sounds great, right? But these features are now considered red flags by the DWP's new system, because when income doesn't follow a regular pattern or when money enters your account from multiple sources, it becomes harder for the DWP to determine what's a pension, what's a gift, what's support, and what might be undeclared income. In some cases, it's enough to trigger a payment freeze just to be safe. You might suddenly find your pension doesn't show up because the system is trying to sort out a transaction that has nothing to do with your benefits. And contacting the DWP to resolve the issue, that's a challenge in itself. Long phone queues, slow replies, and confusing explanations. Now, the third bank is a different story. It's not under fire because of flexibility or size. It's under fire because it hasn't kept up with the times. It still operates on older systems that make it harder to share real-time financial information with government departments. And when the DWP can't access accurate, up-to-date data, their systems automatically flag the account as a risk. Not because of fraud, not because of misuse, but because the technology doesn't support what the DWP is now demanding. For pensioners who've used this bank for decades, this comes as a shock.
You've trusted them, depended on them, but now their outdated systems could be the reason your money is held back. If this all sounds confusing, it's because it is. What makes it worse is how poorly this information has been shared. There's been no nationwide letter campaign, no announcements in the press, no interviews with DWP officials warning the public. These changes have been introduced in silence, buried in technical documents, or quietly posted on government websites that most pensioners will never visit. So when someone's payment doesn't arrive, they're left completely in the dark. That's why being informed right now is the most powerful thing you can do. You need to ask your bank how they're working with the DWP and what safeguards they have in place to avoid disruptions to pension payments. Some banks have created helplines specifically for pensioners worried about these issues. Use them, ask questions, and start reviewing your account more closely. Don't just check whether the money has arrived, look at every incoming and outgoing transaction. A gift from your daughter, a refund for a cancelled hotel, a deposit from your grandson to help with groceries. All these can be perfectly normal, but to an automated system, they could seem unusual. Keep a written record of anything that might raise questions. Save emails, note dates, and print receipts. Keep them in a file, so if you ever do get a letter from the DWP asking about your account, you're ready. You'll be able to respond quickly, explain every detail, and get your payments reinstated without delay. Some people are even going further, changing banks entirely. That might sound extreme. But if your bank isn't modernising, or if it's already been flagged by the DWP, moving to a more compliant institution might be the safest way to protect your payments. Yes, switching banks is inconvenient, especially if you've been with one for decades. But this is about protecting your income, your stability, and your peace of mind. If you rely on that monthly deposit, you can't afford to take chances. The cost of living crisis has already made it harder than ever to make ends meet. Food, energy, and transport costs are climbing, and many pensioners are already struggling to stretch their payments. Missing just one deposit could mean going without essentials. This isn't theoretical, it's already happening. There are pensioners right now whose payments were delayed simply because their bank reported a transaction late.
One couple had their pension frozen after a one-off transfer from a relative to help with boiler repairs.
A widow in Kent missed her winter fuel allowance because her bank failed to update her information in time. These aren't fraudsters. They're honest people trying to stay warm and keep the lights on. And the worst part, no one told them the rules had changed. No one explained what to do or how to prepare. That's why we need to share this message, because others still don't know. If someone you care about relies on a pension, talk to them. Help them check their account. Ask their bank questions, write down any unusual transactions, be ready to act. And if something does go wrong, if a payment doesn't arrive or if you receive a confusing letter from the DWP, don't stay silent. Write to your MP, file a complaint, tell your story, ask for accountability. The more people speak up, the more pressure there is on the DWP to improve transparency and protect vulnerable pensioners. And don't do this alone. Join a community, whether it's an online Facebook group, a WhatsApp chat, or a local pensioner meetup. These are the places where real stories are shared, early warnings are given, and emotional support is found. We may not be able to stop these changes, but together we can reduce the harm, prepare ourselves, and make sure no one faces it in silence. And finally, keep watching for updates. We still don't know the full list of flagged banks. We don't know all the data criteria being used, and we don't know whether more institutions will be added in the months ahead. But we do know the changes are happening now. Being informed, prepared, and proactive is the only way forward. So, thank you for staying with me through this entire message. It means you care, and it means you're paying attention. And that alone gives you an advantage. In the next video, we'll explain how to formally respond to a DWP inquiry if you receive one, and we'll uncover a little-known benefit that many pensioners qualify for but never claim, one that could boost your pension income by hundreds of pounds each year. But for now, please check your bank account, speak with your bank, track every deposit, protect your pension. And share this message with someone else, because next time it might be their payment that doesn't arrive, and they deserve to be ready too.